Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Namakwa Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We're glad you're here. This is a Come As You Are congregation, and you're welcome here just as you are. I want to extend a welcome to any first or second or third time visitors, people just dropping by. We would love to stay connected, so if you want to hear from us, sign up for our communications at the main entrance. Here at Namakwa, we foster a beloved community that celebrates diversity, strives for peace and justice, acts mindfully for the good of the planet, and inspires spiritual growth through a free and loving search for truth and meaning. We honor the ground we walk upon and acknowledge this land as the traditional and ancestral homeland of the Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Ute nations and peoples. We recognize and honor the indigenous peoples as original stewards of this land, and vow to reconcile the deep wounds that still shape our world today. After much consideration, I had almost decided that I needed to dedicate this entire service to announcements. But the command from on high is that we keep announcements brief. But we have so much going on, and all these things help to build our beloved community, to make connections, to do good work. So check them out. I'm going to review a few. Next Sunday, Reverend Dana is back with us. Her service, The Power of Radical Hospitality, speaks to the epidemic of loneliness and isolation. Radical hospitality invites us in with deep compassion. It implores us to reach out to others, to bring them in, even those who might make us uncomfortable. The transforming power of hospitality is about healing ourselves and each other through the power of love together. Women's group, social justice ministry, meditation, choir practice, social sisterhood, open mic, parents' night out. That's just a few. There are too many things for me to get specific, but you have a beautiful calendar, a website, and hopefully you're getting our weekly emails. Come and join us and find out what interests you. Composer, guitarist, and singer Jim Scott, formerly of the Paul Winter Consort, will be performing here at Namakwa on Friday, March 29th at 6:30 p.m. His concert, The Year to Save the Earth, a multimedia experience, is co-hosted by the NUUC Music and Climate Justice Ministries. His melodies and outspoken poetry raise up celebration, grieving, protest, and positive vision for the planet. Get a head start on Earth Month and join us on the 29th. It's $20 at the door, and a portion of the proceeds will benefit Namakwa. Another benefit for Namakwa is Saturday, April 20th is our annual auction. Think of ways to connect and make a little money for the church in the bargain. There have been Polish, Moroccan, Mexican, Swiss raclette dinners, poetry readings, musical performances, hikes, canoe trips, artwork, quilts. And if you do business somewhere locally and maybe that business would be willing to donate a service or a gift card, please ask. Scott Walker, one of our newest members, has volunteered to organize this event. And he has forms. And his one word to you, I'm going to take the word right out of your mouth, help. So anyway, he's taking names. That same weekend, Friday, April 19th and Saturday, April 20th, is the Pacific Western Regional Assembly at First Universalist in Denver. Typically, that assembly is held on the West Coast, and few of us attend. So now we have a chance to go down to a beautiful church in Denver, meet up with other like-minded UUs, hear from our UU president, Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt. The newsletter has all the details. I think the registration ends April 12th. There will be some of us going down together on Friday. We'll get back in plenty of time to help with the auction on Saturday. Fun day. We'll be exhausted. Anyway, many thanks to everyone who has helped to put this service together.
Please welcome Brian Jarvis with his testimonial about what Namakwa means to him.
Morning. You hear me? Wow. I've been asked to talk about what draws me to NUUC, what I like about NUUC. And the main thing is that it's my community. I love the people. It's the people. It's you. Agreeable people, honest, intelligent, ready to accept responsibility, made me feel welcome, your unbiased attitude, and we work well together. As I served as co-chair in COSM a couple of years ago, and I've had some responsibility in this congregation, but the most appealing is the absence of religious dogma. Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, Brian. Another beautiful day in sunny Colorado. Today is the start of daylight savings time. Daylight savings time is conducive to mountain climbing. We can start out sleeping a little late and still get up when it's plenty of light and have more time to be on the mountain. Unless, of course, the weather keeps us off the top, which is not unusual. If you want to join us, you need to return your ticket. What is your ticket? Your pledge form. That is your ticket. It doesn't have to say anything. It can have a big 0 on it, but that is your ticket. Please return it. To date, we have 2% of your tickets returned. I fully expect to have 100% by the end of the pledge drive. Okay? How do you want to improve your NUUC experience? What can you do to make that happen? What can we do to make that happen? Today, NUUC cost of labor is about the same amount as it raises in the pledge drive. That is not a new situation. That has been true for almost every year since we hired our first minister, half-time. None of our employees, including our minister, is full-time. We will start on our climb next Sunday after a little talk with a park ranger about the climb that's ahead of us. So please join us next Sunday and have your ticket available. Thank you.
I have one more for you, Dick. This month's theme, which helps us to organize our services and our thoughts, is the gift of transformation, so appropriate for the month of March. Spring is my favorite season, well, until autumn comes along. Spring, when so many little gifts are bursting out of the ground. Oh, that's where I planted those crocuses frantically as the ground was getting too frozen to plant. And I can also see the gaps in the crocus bed where some squirrel transformed a fat bulb into the fat in its belly. It's an energizing season. As with our title today, a season of endings and beginnings. I think of it as a time to end those long sessions on my couch watching a never-ending supply of British murder mysteries. Time to get some seeds in the ground, cut back the dead plants that hopefully harbored some beneficial insects, and maybe do a little pruning. But it's also time to shake out the cobwebs, rededicate myself to the many issues facing us today. Women's reproductive health, disability services, climate issues, electoral politics, attainable housing. These longer days transform our environment, but also wake us up to the work that needs to be done. It can seem overwhelming, but it's every little action we take that makes it all come together, that helps us create our beloved community. Howard Zinn, the historian and social activist, said, "Missing from history are the countless small actions of unknown people that led up to those great moments. When we understand this, we can see that the tiniest acts of protest in which we engage may become the invisible roots of social change. Please now join us in our congregational affirmation. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
And if you'll stand in body or spirit for our opening hymn.
And maybe before we start that hymn, let's just say hi to our neighbors and hi to people we haven't met before. And no, I couldn't remember what was next.
Yep, all good. We got it together. I should probably keep the script with
I never sleep very well the night before this, you know.
me. The daylight savings time doesn't help, does it?
No, not at all. And Nathan being home.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody wants to talk to us, so we're just good right here.
Nathan said that he did a lot of practicing the meditation with you last night.
He exaggerates. Well, we did laugh a lot though.
Good.
Yeah, I just need to carry this with me at all
Yeah,
times.
it's just what I was thinking. I did the same. Once there was a little tree filled with little leaves, who was surrounded by other little trees who had little leaves of their own. In the heat of long summer days, Little Tree's leaves kept him cool. The squirrels would climb up on his branches to play. The morning dove landed in him and sang her fluty song. The little tree was sure to grow up, big and strong. Autumn arrived, and cool winds filled the air. The wind tickled the little tree as it passed through his branches and ruffled his leaves. The air grew cold, and the leaves on all the trees changed color, becoming yellow, red, and orange. Then, one by one, the trees began to drop their leaves. All but Little Tree. He just hugged his leaves tight. "Hello, Little Tree," said a squirrel. "You're supposed to drop your leaves now." But Little Tree was unsure. What would he do without his leaves? Winter came. "What are you doing with your leaves still on you?" said the doe. Little Tree just hugged his leaves tight. Springtime arrived, and the little forest burst into life. The other trees grew bright new leaves. The squirrels played in their branches. Little Tree could hear the morning dove singing her fluty song. The seasons continued to come and go. "Little Tree," quacked a duckling, "your leaves are brown. Are you feeling sick?" A fox said, "Little Tree, it's autumn. It's time for you to drop your leaves. You can do it. Ready? 1, 2. But Little Tree just hugged his leaves tight. All around, the forest grew and grew. All the other little trees had become big. One summer, Little Tree could no longer feel the sunlight. The squirrels played high above on the broad, tall trees, and the morning dove sang so far away that he could hardly hear her fluty song. Autumn came again. Leaves began to blanket the ground. Little Tree looked up at the other trees, at their branches reaching high into the sky. He remembered when the trees had all been his size. And then he let go. As his last leaf floated to the ground for the first time, Little Tree felt the harsh cold of winter. But in time, something happened. Once there was a little tree. I am so sorry, I'm forgetting everything today. Join me in singing out our children in spirit, if nothing else. I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. For our chalice lighting today, we have Transformation by Reverend Dr. David Breeden. Each moment, each of us steps across the threshold of becoming. Some struggle to remain the same. Others embrace the art of evolving, becoming alchemists, transforming thought into action, belief into practice, recognizing the ceaseless flow, the perpetual nature of potential inherent in transformation. Formation, we know it, formed, shaped, rigid. Trans, we know it, transcend, transverse, transmute, go beyond. And today, we light this chalice for all the ways that we transform in this time of renewal. Each week, you support the work of this congregation and all the ways we live our values in the world through your own generosity. In addition to supporting this church, half of your donations support a local nonprofit organization, helping us to make a difference beyond our walls. In March and April, our donations support Raw Tools. Turning guns into garden tools is at the center of their work. They connect their programs and enable storytelling, stories of magnificent transformation, as well as the deep trauma of grief and loss. Raw Tools gives workshops on restorative justice, de-escalation, bystander intervention, circle process, open dialogue, and mental health first aid. They will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation will not take up sword against nation. They will train for war no more. Everyone will sit under their own vine and fig tree. No one shall make them afraid. Please be generous as we hear loving music from Ryan and Caitlin.
Welcome the spring, the summer rain. Softly it turns to sing again. Welcome the bud, the summer blooming flower. Welcome the child whose hand I hold. Welcome to you, both young and old. We are ever new, we are ever new. Welcome to spring and summer rain. Softly it turns to sing again. Welcome the bud, the summer blooming flower. Welcome the child whose hand I hold. Welcome to you, both young and old. We are ever new, we are Welcome to spring and summer rain. Softly it turns to sing again. Welcome the bud, the summer blooming flower. Welcome the child whose hand I hold. Welcome to you, both young and old. We are ever new. We are ever new.
Each week we come together to share our lives with each other a little bit and to feel the love that everybody has to offer through the things that we are going through. So if you have a brief joy or sorrow, you'd like to come forward and tell us about it, we will be here with you. And I've got 2 joys and a sorrow. Thank you for that wonderful music. Thank you, Kat. It's always a pleasure. It's always a joy when we get to hear you sing. And of course, Ryan. Yes. And then I'm going to visit my mother-in-law in Albuquerque this week. The sorrow is I have to miss all the stuff that's going on here. So anyway, it should be a good trip, though. How about someone else who'd like to tell us what's happening in their lives? Karen.
My oldest, sorry. My oldest niece is been ill for quite a while, and they're having a lot of trouble diagnosing her. So, in fact, she's been ill since January, and they just can't seem to figure out exactly what's happening. So I would appreciate y'all's prayers and thoughts for her. Her name is Erin.
We hold Erin and you in our hearts.
Hi, I'm Elaine. I want to share a brief joy about kindness, because it's been a mission of mine since my birthday last year, or a lot of my life, to spread kindness. And at Christmas time, I wasn't real financially well off, so I wasn't able to gift much. But in February, I gave some gifts to service people around town that I encounter. And I gave a good sized tip to my trash collector people. You would not believe how that has spread. I mean, I guess they're very grateful for it, because how often do you tip your trash people? So the next week after, they brought my bin back up to the garage for me. And the next week they did that again. And the next week, I couldn't get my bin out of the garage because my son was working on his car in there. So I didn't know this till a few days later. They actually came and knocked on the door and said, "Don't you have trash today to give us?" So this isn't a paid announcement, so be kind in Namakwa and give as much as you can.
Let's hold all those trash folks and our kind friend Elaine in our hearts. Anyone else? Oh, good, Kat.
Hi, everybody. Dance of the microphone today. I just wanted to share a joy about work, actually. I'll try to make it fast, but I work for what's called MyTech. It's a global construction innovation company, so they try to make new and better ways to construct things with technology. And I don't have a whole lot to do with that. I just kind of tell people to where to put the buttons in the software so no one gets mad. But they have allowed me and some friends of mine to start the first Green Club, and we've been going on for about a year now, meeting together just to talk about sustainability, eco stuff, you know, nothing too scary for the business, not trying to push them too much, trying to kind of stay in our little box. And recently, trying to make the story short, at the same time that we kind of got the go-ahead that the company is looking for innovation ideas, even from a little club like us, which is really exciting, and maybe we can even get some resources and start to have more like decision leaders, actually decision makers care about what we do. I also got to give a presentation for the International Women's Day conference that we have, which is virtual. But the title of the presentation with my friend Ketsia was, "How can sustainable construction make a house a home and a neighborhood a community?" And I never thought in a million years that my long time obsession with like eco-villages and co-housing and all of these things could turn into a corporate presentation, but it did. I got to share about Earth Haven and just all of these things about the importance of community and social capital and how in the construction industry we can be thinking about like whole systems. And it was just the coolest thing ever. So I'm really excited about it, and I hope more things come from it.
Thank you, Kat. Let's hold that company in our hearts and hope they stay on track, and thank you for leading them, Kat.
Referring to what was said before about trash, I put 2 bottles of water out for the trash people every week, and now they started to push my cart all the way up the garage. I'm not bragging. I'm just saying something we might think about.
Thank you, Peter, for your kindness, and hold those trash folks again. They do an awesome job.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, and I have a joy that Peter, well, I mean, I'm not joyous that Peter's gone, but it's okay. Peter's off in Seattle visiting Rachel and her husband Seth and the 2 babies, and we kind of sent him out there to help her, but we also sent him out there so that he can help her get back to Colorado. And so a week from Saturday, Rachel and Peter are going to carry 2 babies on their lap in a plane that hopefully isn't 2 hours late like the trip out there was. And so I get to see Rachel and the babies. So I'm excited.
Here's to that whole family coming back together in joy, and enjoy your week, Jen. Terry?
This is intimidating. Hi, I'm Terry. I have 2 joys. My first joy is that I'm very thankful to be back here to Namakwa. I took some time off, but it's nice to be back. But my other joy and pride is that my son is with LFRA here, and he's in Seattle, Washington. He flew in this weekend to do a stair climb to help research to fight leukemia and cancer for firefighters. And that's just such a great cause, and I'm glad that he went to do that for the weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. We're glad you're back too. And firefighters, they hold a special place in all of our hearts, don't they, Nathan? Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone on Zoom, Katie? No? Well, let's hold in our hearts all those who maybe have things too tender to say, and also think about the people in Gaza and Israel and Ukraine and other places in the world that are just not having as beautiful a day as we are. Yeah. Would any of you who have heard of the International Association for the Advancement of Creative Maladjustment please raise your hand. Okay, so I guess none of you belong either. I hadn't heard of this until I started doing a little research for today's service. This month we speak to the transformation that must come in each of us as we witness injustice, inequality, discrimination, the many ills that face our world. Martin Luther King Jr. was the Ware Lecturer at the Unitarian Universalist General Assembly in Florida in 1966. Would that we could have all been there. It was he who proposed that there was a need for creative maladjustment. Let me read to you some excerpts from that speech. I talk a great deal about the need for a kind of divine discontent. I must say to you, there are some things in our nation and in our world to which I'm proud to be maladjusted, and I call upon you to be maladjusted, and all people of goodwill to be maladjusted, until the good society is realized. I never intend to adjust myself to segregation and discrimination. I never intend to become adjusted to religious bigotry. I never intend to adjust myself to economic conditions that will take necessities from the many to give luxuries to the few, and leave millions of people perishing on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of prosperity. I must honestly say, however much criticism it brings, that I never intend to adjust myself to the madness of militarism and to the self-defeating effects of physical violence. In a day when Sputniks and Geminis are dashing through outer space and ballistic missiles are carving highways of death through the stratosphere, no nation can win a war. It is no longer a choice between nonviolence and violence. It is now a choice between nonviolence and non-existence. Our earthly habitat can be transformed into an inferno that even the mind of Dante could not imagine. Yes, I must confess that I believe firmly that our world is in dire need of a new organization, the International Association for the Advancement of Creative Maladjustment. Men and women as maladjusted as the prophet Amos, who in the midst of the injustices of his day cried out in words that echo across the centuries, "Let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream." As maladjusted as Abraham Lincoln, who had the vision to see that this nation could not survive half slave and half free. As maladjusted as Thomas Jefferson, who in the midst of an age amazingly adjusted to slavery, cried in words lifted to cosmic proportions. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. As maladjusted as Jesus of Nazareth, who could say to the men and women of his day, "He who lives by the sword will perish by the sword." Through such maladjustment, we will be able to emerge from the bleak and desolate midnight of man's inhumanity to man into the bright and glittering daybreak of freedom and justice. Reverend King did not despair of the future. He engaged and inspired. He believed we can transform this world in whatever small place we can be of service. March 10th is designated Harriet Tubman Day, the day 111 years ago that she left this world. Talk about a creatively maladjusted human being. As a free woman, at great personal risk, she made dozens of trips back into the belly of the beast to personally escort more than 70 slaves to freedom. During the Civil War, she served as a spy, a scout, a nurse, and a cook in the U.S. Army and helped to rescue more than 700 enslaved people during a raid in South Carolina. Harriet Tubman did not despair. She was never content with being free unless everyone else was too. And so, as I ask myself, I also ask you, what will we refuse to adjust to? What will we do with our maladjustment? What will we transform, and how will we be transformed? Dr. King again. I believe firmly that we can solve this problem. I know that there are still difficult days ahead, and they are days of glorious opportunity. We will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood and sisterhood too. Nonconformity in itself, however, may not necessarily be good and may at times possess neither transforming nor redemptive power. Nonconformity is creative when it is controlled and directed by a transformed life and is constructive when it embraces a new mental outlook. Only through an inner spiritual transformation do we gain the strength to fight vigorously the evils of the world in a humble and loving spirit. As I've studied Dr. King, I have come to admire more and more his powerful words and messages juxtaposed with his love and hope for the beloved community he wished for us to join him in creating. Not one to shrink from personal danger and hardship, he spoke truth and acted on his values. I pulled his words up and used them for most of my reflection today because I long for someone to lead us as he did. I long for someone to inspire us as he did. But we can't wait for that. It's really up to us. May it be so. And now we're going to try something a little different. Transform your mood just a bit with some guided laughter medication. Darn it. Meditation. And the pills will be passed out shortly. No. So everyone get yourself comfortable. Cross your legs, put your feet on the floor. Softly focus your eyes or close them if you'd like to, if that works for you. And relax. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it. And then slowly release through your mouth. Keep breathing slowly and deeply. Slowly and deeply. And now, let a smile begin to cross your face. And keep smiling while you breathe deeply and slowly. We're going to keep smiling for about 15 seconds while you keep breathing slowly and deeply. I see many beautiful smiles. Keep that smile on your face. And now I'm going to ask you to turn it into a gentle giggle. You want to keep breathing while you're giggling, but we're going to breathe and giggle for about 15 seconds. It's going to seem like a long time. Just keep giggling. It'll make you feel so calm. Soon, we're going to turn that giggle into light laughter. Just light laughter until it becomes belly laughter. Everyone here, I want to see some good belly laughs. I don't see the sound people up there laughing. Just remember to keep breathing. You always say when you're laughing really hard, I have to breathe. So, no, come on. I didn't tell you to stop. You need to keep laughing. Laugh, laugh, laugh. Okay. All right, now you can start to bring it down. To a little giggle. Can you do a little giggle now, Kat? I don't know if it's possible. Oh, that's a big laugh. But I'm not pointing to anyone. And now, okay, just bring that giggle back to a smile. And even though the person next to you still has their eyes possibly closed, smile at them. And then as you take a deep breath in through your nose, think about the deep love that is in this congregation. And as you exhale, do so with gratitude. Keep on laughing.
What a reception. Thanks for that. The wheel of the world continues to turn, bringing us to Ostara, the equinox just days in our future. Winter is ending. Spring is beginning, and we are called to transform. We are called to make ourselves anew. Will we even recognize ourselves when this is done? Can we do this without giving up something precious of ourselves? Should we even try? In looking at the idea of transformation, I reach for the nearby image of the butterfly, and I see how my evolving understanding of that insect's metamorphosis has informed the way that I experience change. Every transformation of substance has asked a sacrifice of me. To make myself anew, some part of me must pass away. In my late teenage years and early 20s, I was, in a manner of speaking, a slave. My drugs of choice and the ways that I used them bound me entirely. I stayed in this state for years, sometimes escaping, then all too soon finding myself bound again. I learned to make the rather morbid joke that I was good at quitting because I'd had so much practice. It remained that way for too long, until one day in the year 2000, I sat in the back of my friend's pickup truck as he hurtled down a Dallas highway. Head down, buffeted by the winds and my own tumultuous thoughts, I finally decided to let go. I remember lifting my head in this moment of release when I realized I was the one controlling those bonds that had held me tight for so long. And as I let go, as I decided it was time to quit, I saw a swarm of black motes fly from me into the swirling eddies of the truck's wake. They disappeared, and in that moment, so did the grip of my addiction. This wasn't the end of that particular struggle, but it was a pivotal moment in which I decided to give up what wasn't serving me any longer. Soon after, I moved to San Francisco into a new life. I gave up my old lifestyle. I gave up most of my friends and acquaintances. I transformed myself. While the end result was positive, the process was incredibly challenging, fraught with anxiety and pain. Along with my dependence, I also gave up comfort and ease and the certainty that I could handle what life threw at me. I gave up my ability to cope. That part of me that was seduced by the allure of addiction still has a room in the house of my heart. But I denied this for so long. In fact, I railed against it. My only way of accepting transformation then was by seeing it as 100% complete. How I thought of transformation then came from my flawed idea of the butterfly's journey. I had heard that when the caterpillar settles into its chrysalis, it dissolves completely into an undifferentiated goo, from which the iridescent butterfly mysteriously arises without any linkage to the prior larval form. Nothing of the caterpillar could remain. Several years later, in the grips of a very difficult relationship, I underwent another transformation. I was yet again working to rehabilitate my lifestyle. However, this was overtaken by her efforts to isolate and mold me. She insisted that everything about who I was prior was disgusting, deceitful, and dirty. According to her, my only chance for salvation was to remake myself utterly, to dissolve my past into a featureless sludge by discarding my friends and the music that I listened to and all of my interests. Unfortunately, at the time I agreed. I severed contacts, I sold my crates of records, I shrank from so much of my life. I transformed myself. The butterfly that crawled from this cocoon was shrunken and partial, a shadow. I've since learned to correct my misconception of the butterfly's metamorphosis, which dovetails with my journey of healing. The caterpillar is born not only with the tissues and organs required for its ravenous youth, but also with hidden minuscule structures known as imaginal discs. Imaginal from imago, Latin for image, meaning the image of the adult butterfly. These lie dormant until the caterpillar begins its teenage stage in the chrysalis, when they activate and begin to form into the wings, legs, antennae, and other familiar anatomy of the final butterfly. In my healing from this other transformation over the years, I have learned to see how much I had left behind, how much of the core of me that I love and value that had been with me since childhood dissipated into the pupal medium. It's taken a lot of hard work to correct this disintegrated transformation, to emerge from pupation again with my curiosity, my desire to create, my love of others, and my self-love intact. It's not only possible, but imperative for something to remain during transformation. The seeds of our future selves are within, in some ways, from the beginning. In more recent times, when faced with other opportunities to transform, I noticed reluctance and resistance. I noticed that I would linger in my old pattern or habit longer than I wanted to, even while knowing that this change would benefit, even while knowing that the awkwardness and pain of leaving my comfort zone would be temporary. Similarly, when these imaginal discs in the caterpillar in the chrysalis begin their process of constructing the parts of a butterfly, the caterpillar's immune system attacks them. Apparently, the genome of these adult structures is distinct from the caterpillar, and thus it only recognizes them as other. The new way is resisted. Over time, the imaginal disc's growth increases, and they begin to connect, gaining in size and strength, and overwhelming the caterpillar's immune system. The old way is vanquished, and the transformation is truly underway. Even still, as the butterfly sheds the chrysalis and dries its wings in the sun, another part of the caterpillar that was remains. It breathes through the same trachea, the same breathing tubes that served the young caterpillar as it munched its way through leaf after leaf. It's clear to me that we cannot truly transform without giving up something substantive of who we are. It's also clear to me that we cannot transform without holding true to our core self, our internal and steadfast truth. In our chalice lighting this morning, Reverend Dr. David Breeden said, "Each moment, each of us steps across the threshold of becoming." When standing at the threshold of any door of change, you might ask yourself, what will this ask me to leave behind? Can I take enough of myself to the other side for it to be worthwhile? Of course, most times we won't know when stepping through that door the scope of what's on the other side. It is hidden to us. Isn't that why we walk through, after all? Isn't that both terrifying and beautiful, like the best parts of life? May every moment you step across that threshold of becoming, whether you are young or old, caterpillar or butterfly, remind you that you are ever new. May it be so.
chalice extinguishing comes from Clarissa Pincola Estes. Ours is not the task of fixing the entire world all at once, but of stretching out to mend the part of the world that is within our reach. Any small, calm thing that one soul can do to help another soul, to assist some portion of this poor, suffering world, will help immensely. It is not given to us to know which acts or by whom will cause the critical mass to tip toward an enduring good. What is needed for dramatic change is an accumulation of acts, adding to, adding more, continuing. We know that it does not take everyone on earth to bring justice and peace, but only a small, determined group who will not give up during the first, the second, or the 100th gale. May it be so. Please join us for coffee and conversation over in Parker Hall.